with great power comes. What did he say? No. With what he tried to say with great power
He
comes.
switched it up.
He switched it up a little bit.
He said, with great responsibility comes great power.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
I've got my ice cold Pepsi and my Pepsi shirt. The product placement of Pepsi in the
Oh, yeah, right? That was crazy. It felt very Wayne's World to me.
Yeah, a lot. Like real, it was real close to it.
Nothing like an ice cold Pepsi.
Why can't I get a beer? No, Madam Webb, you just need an ice cold Pepsi.
Yeah, so there was the Pepsi earlier at the barbecue. And then later in the film, the villain in the climax. Spoiler alert. This is going to be heavy in spoilers, folks, in case you didn't know that. He gets killed by a giant Pepsi sign.
In the firework factory, because this movie, it showed some secrets of working at Pepsi, because every Pepsi plant has at least 18 tons of fireworks in it.
Yeah, that was really random.
But it was first. Oh, Lord, Jesus. Oh, Lord.
Jason, I've done this podcast now for 2.5 years. And even further back than that, I would say in the modern era of superhero films, this is by far the worst.
I think it might be.
There's no right, in my opinion.
I was about halfway through Morbius before I came back. I went back to watch Morbius. This makes Morbius look like Avengers Endgame.
Yes. Morbius is really, honestly, I feel like the meme, the Thanos meme where he's like, perhaps I treated you too harshly. You already know. Everyone already knows. We can go ahead and start from the top. We're going to do something different, Jason. We're going to rank it from the very beginning so that everyone knows where we stand. I gave this film a 0.5.
Okay.
And it is literally the third to last movie on the bottom of my list. There's only 2 movies that I think are worse than this film, and that's the only 0 that I have, Nick Fury, Age of S.H.I.E.L.D., and The Toxic Avenger, which I watched recently. I know.
Easy.
I know. Look, here's the thing. That's one of those movies that if you didn't grow up with it and you try to watch it for the first time now, it was very cringy. But I understand there's a soft place in a lot of people's hearts for
mine, yeah.
The Toxic Avenger, and that's understandable.
I love Toxie.
We all have movies like that are terrible, but that we love. I love Superman 4. I'm unapologetically a Superman 4 fanatic. But this film, it's seriously crazy to me how a studio can screw a film up so badly. And we never even got to see anyone in their costumes except for flashbacks. And that's like 2 minutes of the movie. There's no actual superheroes in this, Jason.
Yeah, you knew it was something special when the first scene is an 8-month-old or an 8-month pregnant lady in the Amazon jungle looking at spiders. You knew it was going to be special.
And that whole bit with the Mexican spider people, so wild, man. This honestly feels like one of those back in the old days when we had little to no superhero films. I'm thinking 95.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This reminds me of a movie that you would rent from the old video rental stores, bring home and watch. Like the weirdness. It felt like an era of film that were just so out of touch with superhero movies that they were like, there was no loyalty whatsoever to the source material at all. This woman above us here, Jason, he was nowhere to be seen.
My thought process is, are they going to put her in old makeup? Is she showing up in the Tom Holland movies?
God, I hope not.
One of the most wooden performances I've ever seen in a film.
So apparently some people think that Dakota Johnson's a great actress. I cannot confirm or deny that because I've never seen the 50 Shades of Grey films. You can honestly tell that she did not care at all in this movie.
No, she didn't care at all. I don't know any of the characters' names except for Ben Parker. That's Uncle Ben. There were literally, besides my daughter, there were 2 people in the theater with me. They were like behind us, and they heard me groan more times than any movie I've ever gone to.
You know me. I'm so optimistic about every superhero movie. I think when Morbius first came out, I gave it like a 5.5, maybe even a 6. I mean, even the Eternals, when the Eternals first came out, I think I gave it like I hate to admit this, but I gave it an 8 when it first came out. And then after, yeah, I did. That was a bad call. Okay.
We all have weak moments, dude.
But that's one of my faults, is getting overly excited and optimistic about these films, because I really do care so much about comic book cinema. But in this film, make no mistake, I could barely even make it through, Jason. I honestly thought about getting up and leaving. I was like, well, I guess I should probably watch it all since I got to review it tomorrow. It was bad.
I don't do like a list like you do, but I have like tiers of superhero movies. And at the very bottom, you've got your fan four sticks. You've got
Batman and Robin, which is an Oscar winner compared to this.
Yeah, that's the best movie ever made. That's Citizen Kane. I actively groaned at the end of the movie when they're like, yeah, Ben doesn't want to hold baby Peter because, that's too much responsibility. And she looks at the camera and she's like, he has no idea.
Yeah. And then also the line in the film where they're like, with responsibility comes great power or something. They take that phrase, Sony does, taking that phrase all the time and trying to twist it and morph it into something slightly different for every film that they use it in.
With great power comes great responsibility.
If you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things. That's what's at stake here. Not choice, responsibility.
It's by far one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. It didn't look good. It wasn't acted good. Kudos if you got to work on the movie. Like, you got to make a movie, and that's fine. Yeah. But
there was so many signs going into this film. I mean, we all knew. I knew. This is coming from Sony, and we'll talk about them in another episode here later. But Sony, it's almost like they did not care. The review embargo lifted one day before the film came out. Okay. They hired the same guys that wrote Morbius, and Gods of Egypt, Dracula Untold.
Gods of Egypt.
These are some of the films that these wonderful writers have written. They brought these guys on board to write this film.
Why are the spider people painted red?
That whole bit doesn't make any sense to me.
So and why can't Spider-Man see in the future? Because I'm assuming, now that could be a mistake, that Oscorp eventually gets these spiders, right? And that's what bites Peter Parker?
I think that's a good theory.
I mean, that's where I thought we were going. I thought that was going to be the end credit scene. No, we didn't even have time for that, dude.
Yeah, there was a lot of interviews that surfaced recently. Well, I mean, a lot of the promotional material for the film of Dakota Johnson making comments like, oh, this doesn't have anything to do with the comics. And then they asked Dakota Johnson, what was the names of the 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man movies? And she was like, here he comes. There he went. And something else. I'll have to play the clip in the video.
Spider-Man, here he comes.
Here he comes.
That's number 1.
Yep.
Spider-Man, and he's back. The Goblet of Spider-Man.
Literally, nobody in this movie cared about the Spider-Verse at all.
They should absolutely study this film. Like, I'm not going to lie. I was amazed. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it.
It's really remarkable how bad it is, because everyone was telling, you heard all the reviews and everything coming out before because we went to go see it on the weekend.
Yeah, so there was already on Friday. I saw it opening night.
There was already a couple days. Well, it opened on Wednesday. That's the thing. It opened on Valentine's Day.
True love was in the air when you went to go see Madam Web.
I already heard the negative reviews, and I've been there before. But I was thinking, you know what? I'm just going to go into this with an open mind, and surely it's not going to be as bad as they say it is.
I almost don't call it a superhero movie. There's no superheroing.
It's crazy to me that they didn't even put any of those characters, Sydney Sweeney, the other 2 Spider Girls, whatever their names were, they didn't put them in the movie. Like, they weren't even in their uniforms or anything. They didn't get their powers.
Why did they kill that guy? Why were they going to kill him?
Which one? The one that was coming after him?
Yeah, the main bad guy. He was like, I've seen these girls kill me, and I've never stopped to once be like, hey, why are you doing that?
Who knows?
We don't know.
I'm sure the writers at Sony don't know.
And then at the end, it was like, no, that was just a fake out. like we weren't actually trying to kill him. Madam Webb is going to kill you with the giant Pepsi logo.
Anyone that's watching this, just know.
I'm sorry.
Please take our word for this. Do not go see this film. It's not
I
even.
feel like
worth-
you should see it.
Jason, that's the thing. There's bad films that are fun because they're bad.
Yeah,
And
this
then
was
there's
not
bad
fun.
films that are just bad because they're bad. And this is the latter.
In a movie where there is a fire at a fireworks plant owned by Pepsi, 2 times there's 2 fires at a fireworks plant. You would think that would be exciting. In the middle of the movie, they're like, I got to go to Peru. So sorry.
These girls that she's supposed to be protecting. Hey, I'll be back in 3 hours, and then I'll be back in 3 weeks after I go to Peru.
Yeah, you guys just hang out with my boyfriend, Ben Parker.
He wasn't her boyfriend there, but I guess a co-worker.
No, he was a boyfriend, wasn't he?
No, not to Madam Webb. He
Really?
was
I
already.
thought they were dating.
No, he was already seeing Aunt May at that point.
Was he?
Yeah, he said, "I met someone,"
Did he?
and they didn't want to say. It was almost like they didn't even want to say Aunt May in the film, but she was like, "Oh, this one's serious, right?"
Her name is Aunt May. Dude, what can we expect from Craven? Like, I want Craven to somehow be worse than this. Why did the bad guy have a Spider-Man suit?
Yeah, that was weird, but it was almost like they were still not allowed to do certain things because of their agreement with Disney, because he couldn't shoot webs, but he could leap.
He could leap, and he could walk on walls, and he could see the future,
Yeah.
but not well.
I don't even want to think about this film anymore. That's how bad it really was. It's not even fun to crap on this movie. That's how bad it was. It's almost like post-traumatic stress. Whenever I think of this movie, it gives me flashbacks. And it's stressful. Like, this is the first time that doing this podcast has ever really felt like a job. Because you know me, Jason. I love comic book movies.
I'm right there with you, dude.
But this was really, really bad. This is one of those ones that I wouldn't have seen in theaters before I did the podcast.
Yeah.
And probably caught it on a streaming service. And then I would have cut it off after 30 minutes.
Are you buying this for the collection?
Yes. Because I love to collect comic book movies. I shouldn't, but I will. Because I also own Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck is awesome.
I own the original Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren.
Man.
Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. with
That
David
one's bad. The movie almost broke me. I just got up and Abigail was like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, "I didn't like it." And then we didn't talk on the way home. It's one of those movies where you're like, am I too old for this stuff? Is this passing me by? How did nobody know about the Peruvian spider people when they were like, hey, is that what Spider-Man is? What was Morbius doing? We couldn't get Morbius to show up? Well, I guess Morbius takes place in 2014, 2015?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Who knows?
Do you think Dakota Johnson's going to come back?
No, I don't think that there's ever going to be any sequel or mention of this movie again. And if there is, it's a mistake.
What did you think of her in her little chair at the end?
In the ski goggles.
In the ski goggles.
That actually, the last shot of them all was kind of okay. I mean, but that once again, it was only them doing that for 30 seconds to a minute. That was such false advertisement. People have complained about Marvel false advertising. Bro, they put these like that 1 minute of clips of them were all in the trailer in their spider suits and them doing, shooting webs like this.
Yeah, they Kamehameha it.
Yeah, that was such a letdown because I at least expected to get 15, 20 minutes of them fighting in their suits. No.
I'm not going to lie. I actively was hoping the bad guy would kill those teenagers. They were all horrible.
Yeah, they were pretty dumb. Madam Webb tells you to lay low in the woods. It's really urgent.
You go dance at the Waffle House.
Yeah, somebody just tried to kill you 2 hours ago, and then she leaves for a minute. Not only do you go to the
3
Waffle
hours,
House,
John.
not only do you go to the Waffle House, but you decide to dance on the table at the Waffle House.
Hey, to be fair, John, we all would have, dude. 2003's "Toxic" by Britney Spears is a bop.
True. I probably would have danced on the table too and tied my shirt up like that.
Well, yeah, that's how I actually first met you, John.
I'm sure it'll be better than this, but I don't have high expectations for Craven at all.
No.
I really hated Venom 2. Some people like it, which is crazy to me. I really hated Venom 2.
It's whatever. I wouldn't say it's good.
Dude, Woody Harrelson was a complete goofball in that movie.
Well, Carnage is kind of a goofball.
When me and my daughter came out, she was like, I like the movie, but this is her complaints now. A 10-year-old, she said that the girls could have had more powers. She said the timeline jumps was just all over the place. And she was like, I thought there were going to be more fighting scenes and more power scenes because they made it seem like, just like the old Terminator, like they made it seem like they were going to be fighting the whole time and wearing their costumes the whole time. They didn't even have powers. Like, how are you going to have a movie without them having powers? It makes no sense. It's like they rushed this movie out. I could have wrote a better script. That's what I was telling my daughter. I really could have wrote a better script. How did she get to Peru? Like, like you got to go to the airport. You got to get on the airplane. They didn't see her at the airport with all this technology. You didn't see her at the airport.
2003 was a different year, Antoine.
Just to give you like an idea of where I'm at, this is my third to last superhero movie of all time. It's that bad. It's a 0.5. There's only 2 movies that are worse than this to me. And it was David Hasselhoff's Nick Fury movie that came out in 97, I think.
Okay.
It was straight to TV movie. And it was bad, really bad. Yeah, and then The Toxic Avenger, which some people like that movie, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
That's the only 2 movies that I had worse than this. This is bad. It's really bad.
My thing is, okay, it's a Sony movie, right? Sony took over the production or something like that. They did great with the Spider-Man multiverse. I love it. But then they just bummed this thing. Like, other movies that I thought was bad, they're not really as bad now that I've seen this movie, because this is set a whole new low bar for me. I'm like, dang, because I'm really optimistic about movies. I'm like, nah, this wasn't it. This one was not it. And
we reviewed Catwoman a while back, Antoine, and Catwoman is an Oscar contender compared to this.
Catwoman 10 times better, 100 times better than this movie. The girls were so annoying to me, and I know they were supposed to be teenagers, but it was just so annoying. Even my daughter, 10-year-old girl, said, why did she leave them in the woods? I'm like, I don't know. Why? Like, why did she leave them in the woods? And then they dancing on the table. You about to be killed. You dancing on the table? Man.
Hey, Antoine, we said this earlier, but hey, if Toxic came on, man.
That's a bomb, dude.
Dance on the table, too.
All bets are off. You got to dance on the table then, you know. Can't help it.
And hey, if you had to rate it, Antoine, on a scale from 0 to 10, 0 being awful, unwatchable, I never want to see it again, and 10 being perfect, where would you put it?
I don't give nothing a 0. I like to give some hope for something. Let's say 2. Let's give it a 2.
Wow.
Let's give it a 2.
High.
Maybe because I went to see it with my daughter. That's probably it. I went to see it with my daughter. You know. But nah, this isn't the movie. Don't go see this movie.
Yeah, it's awful.
Not waste your money on this movie. She is a EMT. She a paramedic. She drive ambulances and everything. Just like the other guy. Okay, when she's going into labor, when the lady was going into labor, why did Ben act like he didn't know what to do? He's a paramedic, right? He's an EMT. He acting like, oh, what are we supposed to do? Your water broke? I don't know. Let's just figure it out. Like, dude, you're a paramedic. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you're supposed to know how to respond to these situations.
Yeah, like the movie was bad. The script, was it an AI? Did AI write the script? Who wrote the script?
No, I don't think we can. I think AI would have done much better.
Probably. This was probably written on strike. This happened when they were on strike, I think. We were watching reviews on the way there. I was like, you know what? They always say movies bad, but we always love them. No, they were right this time. This movie
Yep. One review that cracked me up so much, it was from Rolling Stone. It says, it's not as bad as you think. It's worse.
Yeah. I concur. And what kind of suit was the villain wearing? Like, where did he get that from? Party City? Like, it makes no sense. You got all.
Why does it look like Spiderman?
Yep. It makes no sense, man. This movie has so much potential. Like, I'm just so disappointed.
I think you're being too generous, Antoine.
I don't think it had any potential at all.
I don't think it had any potential.
It had potential. If it, like Grace said, if they gave them their powers throughout the movie, if they all went to the Amazon and they were fighting in the Amazon and then spiders came out, the tribe came out, oh, that had potential. But
the Mexican spider people.
Yeah. Ain't that guy at first? Okay, he's in the jungle, right? He's then okay. With great power comes. What did he say? No. With what he tried to say with great power
He
comes.
switched it up.
He switched it up a little bit.
He said, "With great responsibility comes great power."
I mean, they didn't even butt whoop for this movie.
Okay, so in conclusion, there's nothing else negative or terrible we can say about this film to convey how terrible it truly, truly is. Do yourselves a favor, never watch this movie.
No.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on the socials. Check Jason out on the socials. And until next time, have a good one.